As a pastor, I have obligations across the spectrum of life. I have to speak to a number of issues, political issues. One of the things that struck me, I was watching a YouTube video with Dr. Richard Carmona, who was the Surgeon General of our country. And he said that someone made the mistake of asking him what he thought a health crisis was. He normally gets asked questions about how he would respond in an earthquake or in a terrorist attack or some level of crisis. But he was thrilled. He phrased it as the person asked the wrong question to me as to what I thought the real health crisis of America was. And the real health crisis of America to me is obesity.
My name is Neill Anderson. I was born in Easton, Massachusetts. I was born in 1980. I graduated from the Oliver Ames High School in 1999. In 2012, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I really ignored my health declining. I never really saw the doctor until it was kind of an accident. There was a time where I had to go to the bathroom a lot, and everyone was like, you know, this is not healthy, go see a doctor, and I kept putting it off, saying, it's nothing. I got a job working for this company where I was gonna drive a truck for them, but the requirements were I needed a Department of Transportation card. I went to a clinic to get one, and I was doing everything to pass. The problem is I knew that I wasn't in the best of health before I was getting the card, or while I was in the process of getting it. And they told me in the middle of it, they were just like, sir, you have type 2 diabetes. And I'm guessing it was January of 2006. I was working at a job for 5 years and I got laid off. I needed a job, so I ended up working at a gentleman's club as a bouncer. I hated that job. It wasn't every night, but it was almost every night. I would go to McDonald's and it just became a routine. Pizza, hamburgers, French fries, soda, candy, just stuff that I shouldn't have been eating.
Obesity is something of a terror within. Obesity strikes all aspects of American life at a time in which we've never produced more food. We've never had more abundance in our country. And yet we have an entire population, particularly of young people, who are fighting obesity. It obviously has to do with the level of activity. It has to do with the kind of overly processed foods we eat. It has to do with our habits of being too sedentary. But we're in an unnatural pattern. We have an obesity and food crisis in this country.
I preach on a lot of topics. But when you talk about food, it gets very personal and people react. I get more negative and positive reactions to those sermons than I do on anything theological, really, which is fascinating when you think about it.
This is Steve Wilson, the pastor who I introduced you at the beginning.
It's remarkable how heavier in general we are, like, than almost every other country on the face of the earth. People get comfortable, you know. It's an easy thing to do. It's hard to stay fit with our present lives. I mean, you're in the car half the time, other time you're sitting at the computer, other times you're sitting in front of the television. Habits are powerful stuff, whether they're biochemical habits or they're just cultural habits. They matter. Good habits, bad habits.
But no, I'm just saying that there are times I have those
cravings.
Cravings.
Hey, I think there's arguments to be made that almost all of fast food is designed to simply get you into drinking the soda.
Okay, I have a Coca-Cola in this hand and a Pepsi in the other. Now these are the two most known soda companies all around the world. Now, before I even tried and realized I needed to change my lifestyle to get healthy, if a day went by and I didn't have a soda, that very rarely ever happened. So, and I don't think I heard what was in soda, but I never exactly read it. So in the Pepsi, sodium, 55 milligrams. Total carbs, 69 grams. 250 calories per bottle. Wow. Yeah, and also the ingredients. Carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, caramel color. Yeah. In the Coke, sodium, 75 milligrams. Total carb, 65 grams. Calories per serving, per bottle, 240. And the ingredients, carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, caramel color. All right. So it's like, it makes sense. Soda ain't good for you. I drank it on a regular basis. I almost drank it almost every day. It's bad for you. When I was, I believe, in the 3rd grade, Donnie Wahlberg was big with New Kids on the Block, and they did a ad for Coca-Cola. I watched, and this was a behind the scenes where Donnie Wahlberg say something like, he was holding up a glass of milk and he said,
"Of course, we always drink milk with our meals. We don't drink soda. We drink milk. Vitamin D."
And I'm thinking, why don't you drink soda? Why? But now, performing at that level, it makes sense now. And maybe I am looking at it as a disappointment and a manipulation, saying that they did an ad for that, and I thought it's okay.
I believe whether it was the Olympics, the NFL, or even the New Kids on the Block, I do believe that the government should step in and have these warning ads saying these athletes, musicians, or Olympians don't eat or drink the junk food on a regular basis. I was kind of on and off. I was doing what I had to do to get healthy. Like, I was having a good start, and then I would get going back to my old ways.
For example, after the night shift was over, I tend to go to the gas station. I'd pick up some chocolate milk, candy, or some other processed snack that I couldn't resist. Other times I get those McDonald's cravings, and I tell myself, just this one time, I'll start again tomorrow. But in reality, I was really hurting myself.
I was watching a Canadian PSA called Make Health Last. That PSA was a shot of two separate ways of this guy's life. One, he's healthy, living life to the fullest, and then another side where I'm guessing he didn't really take good care of his health. He's living in a nursing home, and he's just really in a lot of pain, and health-wise, he's not doing good. I am on 4 pills a day. Maybe to some people that isn't a lot, but I was on a lot of pills to the point where I started taking a pill case that I pretty much had lying around my house. And I realized that I'm not at the age that I'm on that I should be taking that right now, but you know what? I am. So I think that gave me a wake-up call, realizing the rate I'm going, my chances of being the unhealthy guy, my chances are greater if I don't change my lifestyle.
Those contrasts of like where you could see yourself have been very helpful with people in terms of their health. Like they have, they can age your face. You ever seen those apps that'll age your face? And they'll age your face and they'll sort of add qualities like smoker. They've been one of the most effective tools for getting people to behave well when they can, because it's hard to see your future self.
And the 24 units of insulin also gave me a wake-up call. Metformin was for my diabetes. I'm on metformin, 1,000 milligrams, and I'm also on glargine and losartan. I was diagnosed with diabetes in 2012, and then I went on insulin. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2014 or 2015 when I was on it. My doctor is Dr. David Mudd. He told me, stay away from pasta, stay away from certain breads. I do have a whole wheat bread. Originally, I tried to get into the jump rope. I do that every once in a while, but the only thing that I really keep the commitment going, but I didn't think about it, it was just came naturally to me, was just walking. And I remember Dr. Mudd said, walking is one of the best things you can do.
Not all the time, but sometimes, because I do a lot of work at the Easton Community Access Television station in Easton, Massachusetts. I usually just take a walk up to the center of Town of Easton and all the way up to 138. And okay, so I'm looking at my clock, setting up my alarm clock for 1 hour. So let's just go.
You mentioned another doctor, Dr. B.
He's my eye doctor. My eyesight was 20/20, and when he checked them, I actually had to put my face on this kind of thing, rest my head as he was really checking my eyes with a light and all kinds of things. And after that, he's like, a concern that maybe the diabetes got in my eyes. I saw a dietitian, and I remember she was a big help.
My name's Carly Walker. I'm a registered dietitian, and I also own New England Nutrition Advisors.
Okay. What exactly do you do?
So as a registered dietitian, I own a private practice. So I consult with individuals looking to improve their health. Generally, I see clients who are looking to lose weight, who have diabetes, who are looking to improve their cholesterol. We are trained in all facets of nutrition, but those are my specialties. Yeah. A lot of the times when I have clients come in with a new diagnosis of diabetes, they're almost still in the doom and gloom phase of things, like, oh, I can't eat any of my favorite foods anymore. I can't eat this, I can't eat that. So hopefully, I'd like to think that when they come see me, when they're leaving our appointment, they feel like they have steps to manage the diabetes, and also kind of foods that they can enjoy and still enjoy, or how to enjoy their favorite foods. So that kick in the butt that they got with the diagnosis is still there, but they feel like it's more manageable.
Almost every day, I would go to this independent place, bagel place, and I would always get a couple bagels.
A lot of carbs, easy to digest carbs. So yeah, on a regular basis is not the best choice.
And English muffins are lower in carbs, so that's when I learned from her to kind of switch to the English muffins. Carbs are very not good for diabetes. Starch, carbs. So it's not so much of cutting out the carbs, but cutting down the carbs, cutting the carbs in half. Your blood sugar doesn't get so high, or at least that's how I can explain it, and that's how I understand it.
And you do have those numbers that you can use as tools. So when you're measuring your blood sugar with a glucometer after having a cookie, you know, okay, this raised my blood sugar. I probably can't have this regularly. But if you had a big sub with lots of protein on it and it really didn't impact your blood sugar, you have that number to validate that and say, okay, I can handle this amount of carbs, but not this amount of carbs.
I stopped drinking soda, and I replaced the soda with water, milk, and coffee. But before I made these changes, I used to be drinking sugar in my coffee. And now I don't drink sugar in my coffee. I do remember one day I had cream in my coffee, and I thought with the cream tasted really good. And I know that somebody told me that there was a lot of fat in cream, but it still was one of those things that kind of helped me. It was a lot better than having sugar in my coffee. And maybe there are some things that's not going to be so great, but for me, it was kind of making baby steps, kind of cutting down. Usually I have oatmeal for breakfast because it's good for you, it's comforting, and it's very easy to make. You just put a scoop of oatmeal in a bowl. You don't have to, but I put raisins in it, fill it up with water, and then you put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. And I know that I usually have yogurt in my oatmeal because it's a very excellent source of protein, but milk is too. So, yes, it's a very simple, filling, healthy breakfast. Oatmeal, whole wheat toast, and a cup of coffee. And, you know, fruit wouldn't hurt too. And actually, I do like to have omelets with a lot of vegetables in it.
So focusing on fresh fruits and vegetables when possible, lean proteins, whole grains and complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats. Pairing your carbohydrates with protein. So when you're doing something like pasta for dinner, which is once again a very cost-effective meal, instead of doing the pasta by itself, pairing it with a piece of grilled chicken and some vegetables to make it a more balanced meal. And also increasing your vegetable consumption. So non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, green beans, zucchini, all of those have a lot of fiber and a lot of water in them. So they take up a lot of space in your stomach for very few calories and no impact on your blood sugar.
And when it comes to toast, any whole wheat toast they got.
Can you explain the benefits of whole wheat and whole grains over white flour products?
By processing the wheat product, you are removing the hard parts of the wheat that no one really likes the mouthfeel of. So if you think of a piece of wheat bread, it does have a little bit more of a not smooth texture, right? It's a little bit more gritty. Whereas a white piece of bread is really smooth to the taste. So food companies kind of picked up on that and said people do like the mouthfeel of this white product better. So we're going to create a smoother textured product, which in turn removes a lot of the fiber. So by consuming a whole wheat product, you are eating a lot more fiber, which is a lot more filling. It takes a lot for your body to digest that compared to white bread where your body easily digests it.
Okay.
And some people like to have orange juice or cranberry juice. I like to have water.
How much water do you recommend in a given day?
I know that it says you must have 8 glasses of water a day. It depends on what size you are.
The 8 glasses is more of a ballpark figure than an absolute. So usually I encourage clients to target that just because we're usually significantly dehydrated. So targeting that 8 glasses of water while also paying attention to, I know it sounds weird, but the color of your urine is usually the best way to gauge that. So the more concentrated in color, the more dehydrated you are. So if you're carrying around a gallon of water and you're going to the bathroom every 5 seconds and it's clear and has no color at all, you're probably overdoing it a little bit. So dialing it back. And then it also depends on any medical conditions that you might have. So people with heart conditions do need to limit their water a lot. Your body weight, your age, your activity level, all of those do impact how much you should get. So it's not necessarily a black and white answer.
All right.
Sometimes I just don't have 8 glasses. Sometimes when I'm working, because I work as a custodian, I'm always running around that I don't have time to get the water. But when I'm at home reading, I drink a lot of water. But it's like, I do recommend, like, if you are running around doing work, and like I said, I'm a custodian, and some people are like, all my job is vacuuming floors, cleaning bathrooms, mopping floors, and collecting trash. It is, but that's a lot of work, and it's hard work that I don't have the time to just get water every so often. So that's when, like I said, when I'm on my time reading a book or on my laptop, I do a lot of drinking a lot of water. The starting of every week, on my way to work, I run to the local donut shop to get a couple breakfast sandwiches on an English muffin. And a lot before I go to bed, I get the coffee maker ready and set the timer and put this cup next to the coffee maker. And when I'm going downstairs to go to work, I pour myself a cup into this cup. Now, it's not every day, but I do a lot. Go to this local takeout restaurant for break. I get a tuna fish sandwich, and I forgot to ask for it today, but I do get it on honey wheat or any kind of whole wheat bread they've got. But anyway, I get tomatoes and onions in it. And I do have the option of having a side of chips or an apple, and I always choose to get an apple. And I always get a bowl of tomato soup. It doesn't feel like a meal without the soup. I have the option of having croutons in it. I choose not to have croutons in it. And I also have the choice of having a baguette to dip into the soup. I choose not to get a baguette, so I just get another apple. So this is pretty much what I have, not every day, but I do have a lot.
A way that I like to counsel clients is focusing on things that we can add to their diet versus things that we're taking away. So a good thing for swaps would be switching out whole fruit for fruit juice. So instead of doing the really concentrated sugar fruit juice, doing a whole piece of fruit where you're getting some fiber in there. Same thing with white bread, swapping out that white bread or that big sub roll for a whole wheat piece of bread. I also love legume-based pastas and rices. You're getting a lot more fiber and protein than compared to a refined white pasta.
Okay. The candy was replaced with vegetables. I wasn't getting so much white bread. I was getting a lot of whole wheat. I was trying to get as much as I can of organic foods.
Did you cut out any other carbs besides bread?
Pasta, actually, I was trying to get as much whole wheat as I could. I was getting a lot of gluten-free pasta. Two kind of Mexican restaurants that I go to that I really like to go. I like to go to Chipotle, and I like to go to this independent Mexican restaurant called The Avocados in Stoughton, Massachusetts. At Chipotle, I have burritos. At The Avocado, I have a chimichanga. But this is how I have it. No rice at all, and it's still really good. I do go to George's, and I do share boneless buffalo tenders with my friends. I also like to get a chicken and broccoli Alfredo bowl, but with that, I get a really big salad to eat with it, to get some vegetables in my system. And when my friends get soda, I get water, and I don't have any of the bread.
Do you think your weight loss is more about exercise or about diet?
I think it's both.
You can't outrun a bad diet.
My exercise commitment is, it's just getting out there and taking a walk. And it doesn't have to be at the same place every day. Like there are times when I'm at my house, I'll get out and I'll walk all the way down to a certain store and walk back. And there's also, while I'm at the studio working on some projects, and there are times where I'll have to go home, but I know that when I get home, it's gonna be tough for me to get into that commitment of walking, that I'll just, before I go home, I will take a walk down to 138. I walk through the center of town all the way down to 138 where Hilliard's Candy is, and then I'll walk back to the studio, and that is a good walk. And then every once in a while, I got into the habit of changing it to go to the high school and back. And that's a good walk too. So it doesn't have to be the same walk every day. I decided to also do what I had to do and just walk wherever, kind of put that walk into my routine. I did use a treadmill. I did starting out. I felt very connected to the treadmill, but I think now I'm kind of more committed to just walking outside.
How much exercise should we be getting per week, and what kind?
So that's similar for both diabetics and non-diabetics. The recommendation right now from the American Heart Association is 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity exercise. So think things like walking or light hiking or light biking. You should be able to have a conversation but not sing is kind of the guidance to kind of gauge how much energy you're expending. So it's 150 minutes a week of that. Or if you are doing more intense exercise like running or intense cycling, the number of minutes go down to 75.
All right.
I think this might work for some people. I don't know if it would work for everybody. Everybody's different. There was a guy I know who said that in the wintertime when it's just too cold to walk outside, he said that he would just go to a mall and walk around for an hour. And that sometimes works for me. And I like to go to some of the big malls, just really walk around for an hour. And then after I'm done for that hour, I like to go check out stores. Even if I don't buy anything, I just like to go check out stuff. My mom wanted to check out something at Jordan's Furniture. She took so long looking at something, and so I was like, okay, so I just walked around the store. Like, I was really walking around. I don't know how many laps I did, but I did a number of laps, and I remember there was a woman that worked there going, excuse me, can I help you? And I was just like, look, I'm here with my mom, she's checking out something, and I'm just getting some exercise. And she's laughing, saying, that's a good idea.
Okay, right where I started, it takes over an hour to walk from here all the way up to 138. And then to walk back. But yeah, maybe I did have to stop a few times. But it's a long walk. And, I get to see Main Street, the center of town of Easton. I get to see Oaks Ames Hall. I get to see the library. And just a lot of, some parts of Easton that, I really like to look at.
When I walk, I'm just thinking about whatever. I'm thinking about walking. I'm thinking about things that are going to happen later. There were times where I got into mowing the lawn, and I really felt that was really good therapy for me. Actually, there were, not only do I like to walk in nature, and I know that it's kind of weird, but I appreciated it. Two friends and I, one day, I don't even know if it was a plan. We just went to go check out the JFK birthplace in Brookline, Massachusetts. We just went on this walk. I don't think it was even planned. We just parked the car in the area of the JFK birthplace, which was public parking. And we were checking out the JFK birthplace, and we just started walking, and we ended up walking all the way up to the State House, which is a long walk. We saw the Citgo sign, Fenway Park, the Cheers bar, and among a lot of other things. That's where we were kind of at the State House going, wow, I bet you these roads have seen a lot over the years.
I think that seeing history made the habit of walking much easier for me. Anything that can keep your mind occupied can really help. When I used to walk on the treadmill, if you put a TV in front of me, I could be on that thing for hours.
We were walking around the Weymouth Air Force Base, which is kind of abandoned now, and they're building condos.
Okay, as you can see, there were very limited buildings that were left of the Weymouth Air Force Base, but there were still more than plenty that I had to go around and look. I think it was somewhere around when I was looking or walking on the runway, and then eventually we were at this air traffic control tower, and we were just looking at the base. We had this, or my friend just said something like, I bet you that this place was hopping back in the day. And I just said, wow, if this place could talk, just what it saw over the years.
Now, last but not least, it is a part of history. It's not the greatest history, but it's still a part of history that I feel that shouldn't be covered up, that I feel that should be appreciated. I'm at Medfield State Hospital in Medfield, Massachusetts. Now, this is one of mine and a couple of my friends' places that we really like to come walk. I understand that this isn't a part of our greatest history, but I do deeply feel that it is something that we shouldn't put a blanket over. I feel that we should appreciate it and learn from it so we don't make the same mistakes in the future. One day, my two friends and I, we were coming up from this field, and I don't know if we were walking up the sidewalk yet, but we were very close, and my friend said, I bet you that this sidewalk was for some patients that were like in wheelchairs, and they would roll them down this sidewalk out to the field, so, you know, to get some fresh air or something. When I look at this building and the gated area, I don't think that they would just leave those patients, unfortunately, but I don't think that they would have left those kind of patients out on the field in the opening. I think that they would have kept them in a gated community like this is and the one over there. One of the days when my friends and I were walking around the site, the property, it was around this area where one of them said in this really sarcastic way, I bet you that there were some Ecto 1 kind of cars driving through the property back in the day. And I had this kind of, moment, and then it just dawned on me. I was like, you must have been right. Well, as you can see, this beautiful field in the back, yes, one day I started taking a walk and going down the trail, and eventually I saw this stone wall in the woods, and it looked like that there was a farm on the property, and this could have been even before the hospital was built. Right here, and I am touching it, there is a sign that says, remember us, for we too have lived, loved, and laughed. And all the time when I walk by this sign, it makes me realize that, you know, we should respect that the people who were committed, institutionalized here, they were people too. It was just really getting out there, getting exercise, and seeing history. I guess you could say I'm really committed at my walking, because when we're out there walking, I'm walking, and I'm really getting out there and I'm walking. I'm not jogging, but I'm walking. I'm focused, I'm walking, I'm moving. And my friends are kind of not keeping up with me, and they kind of hate it. It's like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. I never thought that this was going to happen. Mid to late 30s. When I originally started, I think I was like a size 40 waist, and I was really losing pant sizes like Kleenex. It just didn't take long. I went from a size 40 all the way down to a 34, and I think I found like clothes that I was like never fitting into, or they were always tight on me. And now I found clothes lying around my house that I actually fit in, that are just fitting me perfectly.
What was the heaviest weight you ever got to?
The heaviest that I'm aware of, I was 308 pounds. Last I knew, I was like 260 something.
What about your blood sugar?
The average is between 90 and 120. I think that it doesn't have to be a lot. Just go out there and walk, and maybe some people would rather just go out and jump rope or do something else, and that's fine. But find something that is active, and at the same time, you can't just continue eating the same diet. You have to change your diet. Like, that was one of the hard things I had to learn. In order for me to lose all of that weight, in order for me to go back down to a size 34, I had to stop eating the junk food and start eating healthier foods. The first day when I decided to go on this quest, my blood sugar was 256 or 259. It was one of those. The very next day, it was 165. That was a big improvement. 2 weeks into it, it went all the way down to 98.
So I remember when we first met, you were significantly heavier than you are now. You've definitely got it under wraps. Like you're exercising pretty daily, right? I know you walk a lot. You're moving around more freely, I suspect, right? You're conscious of your diet. I remember when we first met, you were talking about, I remember there was one uncomfortable moment where you were talking about how much you went to McDonald's.
Oh God, I couldn't resist.
It's like a confessional here today.
I guess it is.
Go and sin no more, son.
I've been doing the diet and walking routine since late 2016.
Is it a diet?
I'm saying no, it's not a diet. It was a life-changing experience that I'm gonna have to do for the rest of my life. And I think that that's what a lot of people have to understand, is that when they say they're on a diet, it's like, this diet's not temporary. This diet is for life if you want to stay that way.
Do you think it's hard to stay on that diet?
There are times that it is, and there are times that I will say that I have fallen off the horse and went back to my old ways, and then I would check my blood sugar and realize that I got to get back to my healthy ways. I think the last time I actually did have a cake was my birthday, and I don't really do desserts very much. Every once in a while I'll go out for ice cream, but that's a treat. I think I would like to say that when I first made the decision to make some changes in my life, I never thought the results were going to come so quickly. I never really knew exactly what was going to happen. I can't change what happened. I think that was the first time where I really accepted I'm a diabetic. I'm a diabetic, I accept it, I did it to myself. And now it's time to live with it and work with it. As I'm saying this, I realize that it's a different thing, but Jim McMahon, the former quarterback to the Chicago Bears that beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl in the 80s, Jim McMahon had some injuries in the NFL, and I think he was just accepting it and working with what he had. And he would do certain things like working with puzzles to keep his brain active, to keep his memory active, if I remember correctly. And I think that was one thing that was going through my mind, like, he can't change it, but I think how he was saying it, it sounded like he accepted it and he was just moving on. And working with his disability, working with the medical problems he has. And that was me saying, okay, I accept it and I'm working with it and I can't change it, but I can improve my health. I just never thought I was going to get the quick results that I got. It didn't take much time at all. I started losing a lot of weight. My pant sizes, I kept going to the store and getting smaller pant sizes because the pants I had were getting so big on me. My blood sugar was getting so low to the point where I was calling Dr. Mudd to ask what's going on. And I admit I got scared because I had no idea what was going on. And he was calling me back saying, I'm proud of you, come on in, I need to check this out. But what I was mentioning is that I was doing what I had to do. I was getting some healthier meal choices, I was getting exercise. And because I was shooting myself up with too much insulin, it got to the point where I didn't even need insulin at all.
So you're not using insulin today?
Nope.
How long have you been off insulin?
For 2 years now.
What do you recommend for people who are not diabetic? Do you think your diet and exercise plan would work for them?
Maybe it would work for you. Maybe you're going to find something else that works for you, and that's fine.
I think being diagnosed with diabetes is a very overwhelming diagnosis. There are resources out there. I think some providers are better at referring you to those resources than others. So know that you can seek out a dietitian, a diabetes educator, all of those people are going to give you the correct answers and hopefully make things a lot less overwhelming.
There's always a moment, right? Paul on the road to Damascus gets struck down with heat stroke or sees Jesus or whatever you want to call it, and he becomes a Christian, right? So it's those moments of revelation and transformation are a core part of how most people have a religious shift. So a shift in diet is no different.
When we first started talking about this documentary many years ago now, you kept referring me to a film called Supersize Me. What do you remember about that?
Supersize Me was a movie, a documentary starring a guy named Morgan Spurlock, where he decided to do a documentary film where he ate nothing but McDonald's for a month. When he first started, his health was great. I think that it was like in the middle of it, his health was doing so bad because he was eating nothing but McDonald's. Actually, I will never forget, I remember that he said in the movie, all the time when he goes up to the drive-thru and they always ask him, do you want to supersize that? He'll always say yes. They never once not ask that, they always ask that. In the middle of the movie, I remember he had that supersize. He was like so full, and it's like, and I'm not even halfway done yet. It was like, and they said, we're getting rid of the supersize now. It was because of that movie. They deny it, but it was because of that movie.
Do you think that overall Americans are starting to get it, that obesity is the problem that General said it was?
I think that there's a lot of things that is a problem. I think that portion sizes keep going up. I think that it was also, not long ago, a friend of mine who doesn't have a lot of money went to the Dollar Tree to get some food for the week, and it was such crap food. There's a lot of poverty and a lot of people that don't have a lot of money in this country. And usually, the food that is usually more optional to the people who don't have a lot of money is such crap and junk food. And I think that we have to come up with a solution to give some people the option of having healthier choices.